Hi, this is Carl again. I'm going to do another tutorial on Chitubox. So I'll just minimize that. So I've got, this time it is Chitubox 1.2.0, and I don't think it's a beta anymore. I think they've now got it available. I'm just going to open up Hulk. So this is a follow-on to what I basically did in the free version 1.9.3, but this time I'm going to use the pro version. So zooming out with the button there, zooming in there, rotating. I'll pick that model and I'm now going to rotate it as I did in the previous video. I'll link the previous video up in this top corner. Actually I won't, because I have no idea how to do that. So basically I'm going to rotate it, look from the front, I'm going to rotate it up, and this is just to get the orientation where it will build with basically his head facing a little bit up, because when it's dead flat outwards you don't get it as good, but I'm trying to get a good print here. My theory on that is to basically have the last layers of the print. Let's zoom in on that with the button. So the last layers of the print somewhere in the hair or somewhere on the forehead there. And what I'm basically trying to do is get as many fingers to point up in the air, and maybe some of the arms to point up in the air at about a 30 degrees to, I'll just put that in the front so we can see that, at about 30 degrees climbing angle. By doing that you can use less supports underneath and still get a pretty good job. You can't do it everywhere, but you've got to sort of pick your spot. Now I try to get approximately 1/3 of the width to 1/3 of the width to the height, or 1 to 3 in relationship. Now for that I'll probably just tip that back, because I can get more of a surface area on that plate, which this shadow just shows. I don't want that. I want to tip him back a little bit. Right, you see how he's getting wider now? That gives me a better ratio and more stability, so I can put more supports under his back where it doesn't matter as much, and his head's facing up a little bit. Let's just look from the front. Okay, look from the side. Oh, that's the other side. The other side. That's nice. Okay, so now I've got an orientation that I think I can achieve. The next step is to go into model prepare over here, and I'm going to hollow out my model. Now in the you would normally pick maybe 2.5 for a standard type model, but this one I forgot a step, didn't I? This one we're going to make as full as we can and fill up the build volume. So I forgot to do that, so let's do that over here. So that is over here in scale, where the model is already selected, and if I go down here, scale to fit, that'll throw it up as big as it can in that orientation. I can actually go bigger. I'll just try that. I'll just rotate him up a little bit, just maybe that much, and then when I go scale to fit, see how much bigger he got? That's because we're still about that 1 to 3 ratio. Pretty good this way, but down that way, 1 to 3 ratio. Yeah, I think that's about as big as we'll get him. Now back to what I was doing. I was about to hollow, and I found it looked a bit spindly, so let's go to 3. We'll make that 3.5. You can change that value. And inner precision doesn't really matter. Infill, no, I don't use the infill because I use supports later on. Infill can have its own problems. Not that it blocks it, but it doesn't always hit the spot you want, particularly on like the roof of the head. Just keep main cavity, no, just let's apply it and see what it does. So this will show us slicing as it moves down. You can get a bit of a view of it. It's pretty quick, it's a big model. And it'll just run through and show us the slicing down once it gets going. I can look at the actual size of the model if I go back to the scale button. But it's, you know, filling up the build volume of Mega 8K. Here we go. So it's basically just showing like a cartoon almost what it's done. See, there's two separate sections here. Oh, that's a very neat inside. I'll just zoom down. This slider on the bottom shows the layers. That inside is really quite smooth. Yeah, that looks good. Okay, that quality is good enough. Now, our next step is to actually zoom right down to here and start doing the vent holes. And the most important vent hole is this first section where it starts to build this cup shape, and this cup shape makes suction on the FEP sheet, and you need to prevent that. So over here at the top, dig a hole. Now here we have all these parameters. 1 mil, no, I think I need about if you've got a snake like a snake light and you want to cure the inside of the model, I think you need about 5mm to get the little LED in there. So we'll put 5mm. Click, 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 click. 5mm, and it's going to go 3mm deep. Yeah, that should work. And it's setting perpendicular or camera perspective. These are two different things, but the perpendicular will throw it through the base of that, so it lines up to the base, and I want that right at the start. So let's go down, down, down. So our first layers are going to be down here. Does it go in? Not quite, just a little too close to the edge. Come on. Maybe I'm not long enough. Let's go 6mm long. There we go. Yeah, that is. Oh, it's right at the start. Now, that's the main one, but every new island that starts, oh, there's one, pops over there. Every new island that has a new void, zoom out here, zoom in here, right click to rotate. Okay, so over here, this is a new island. If I don't put a vent in there, that'll create suction and it'll rip off the model, potentially. So that one has gone into. Right. Okay, so now I've got my two main ones. I don't need to use that diameter, just to get little vents somewhere else where there may be a small air pocket. So as we scroll right up here, and we will see, oh, that just popped into existence. See that there? So that section in the middle will be a suction area. So I'll pop a hole through it, and that's a much smaller hole, but that's all it needs. And looking for out there, in there. There's another section, look, just another new island with new void. No, just zoom down to get where it starts. It starts right in the middle there. I'll put a couple in this one. Coming up. Oh, another section just started over here. I'll put one there, maybe one there. Now these smaller holes, 1.5mm diameter, they seal up with like a single drop of resin, so they're pretty easy to work with. I'm just looking for something new to pop into existence. Those fingers grew correctly. But there's a little bit of a thing happening inside the neck area. Does his chin grows nice? Yep, that's not a pocket, so we're done. Okay, so that's our vent holes. You don't need to fill the whole model with vent holes. Look, you can hardly even see them. But when you look from underneath, the new island sections, there, over here, are all ventilated where it needs it the most. So in order to clean this model out, you just swill your alcohol around inside it and then pour it out, or you use like I have, which is an ultrasonic cleaner, and that cleans as much on the inside as it does on the outside because this item is plastic. So our next step is to jump over to our supports. So over here in supports, this one's a bit more flexible. Being the high-end one, you can get to change a lot of things on it, and I've just gone, what are my heavies going to be? Actually, what I'll do first, I'll do my middles first, because I want to fill him up with internal supports, delete off all the ones that are sitting around the outside, or many of them, and then do another. See, the advantage of this is you can do multiple passes with supports. So what have I got here? I've got, I'll read this one, it's a bit easier to read. So on my top, I've got no sphere contact points. I've got connection shape is cone, upper diameter 0.6. 0.6 is okay, lower diameter connection length, I can drop that back a bit because I'm aiming for the small ones inside. I won't show you advanced just yet, so let's do that. Now what I do on this to get all through the inside is plus all will generate, it'll look like a nest at the moment on the outside, but what I'm aiming for is the inside. Looks okay. Let's have a look what it did in the inside. See those inside supports? That's what I wanted. I wanted them at the medium size, which is this 1.8 diameter, just to save a bit of resin and still out there, in there, gets me across. So I want to see some under this little, see this little arch of the foot? That almost blinks into existence. So some of them under there helps. That's good. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, because I want to do my main structure as heavies, I'm going to vanish these ones. So I'm going to go minus and a click, click. I think I can just do this work. Hang on. There is there's a feature where you draw a line and it does the whole lot all at once, but I'm just going to go to town with my right click button, delete. So sorry, I'm just going to click them all individual just to get rid of them. Someone in the comments is going to tell me what I'm doing wrong here, and then I'll thank them. I'm just sort of clicking and right and then hitting the delete button because I want to get heavy supports in here. Sorry, they must be able to work out how to do this. Is it shift? No, is it control? That looks right. Didn't select them though, did it? Ah, maybe it's these buttons over here. It's like draw a line. Do I draw a line from there to there? Wait. internet people are doing to me. Yes, that is beautiful. So click brush, zoom across, select all of them, that's it. Click brush, zoom across, select all of them. Lovely. Brush, zoom across, kill. Brush, zoom across, kill. Just kill that one, that one, that one, that one, that one, that one. Come on. And, oh look, I'm going to leave those. What do we got sitting halfway up his body? Cool with that, that looks fine. Okay, so what I've got now is the internals done with medium supports. Yeah, and I'm going to do now the external. So what I do now is I'm going to hit heavy. I'm going to look at what I've got the settings as. So I've got sphere contact points. What these do is they embed into the surface enough so that they make an artificial breaking point which is outside the surface. So I've got 1.6 diameter, and I've got it that's a 1 millimeter connection point. I'll read it over here, it's easy to follow. So the contact diameter is 1.6 and it's buried halfway into the model, and then the cone shaped support has 1 millimeter diameter. I can use bigger connection points and still have them snap on the outside of the model and not rip out a giant chunk. And that's done here. Like I've set them quite big. I've gone 2 mil. Well, let's do it. 2 mil here as a contact point. Let's go 1.2 deep, and let's make our upper contact 1.4. Yeah, that's not bad. And I like this to be a bit longer, so 5 millimeters, which can struggle to get the tip underneath the model under the foot area, but that's okay. So now pretty happy with that. Let's just look at what the main shaft diameter is. The upper diameter is 2.5 and the lower diameter is 4. This is going to make a great big long taper. Well, let's see what that looks like, and you'll see once I do it that I don't have, well, this one's printing a skate. I don't want a skate. I'll turn that to none, and I'll turn the raft off. Now I do that because I put my own raft underneath later. So let's go plus all and see what that does. Delete the supports of this model. No, don't delete it. So what this does is it adds a new lot of supports. That was quick. Okay, so what I like is the basic density of it, but what I don't like is these giant pillars standing everywhere with no sort of structure to them. And it only takes one of these pillars not to print and half my model vanishes. So what I've got to do here is to go into the advanced section and change a few settings. So I want to make the cross members, these are these little X's that go through there. I want to enable them. I want to start at that height. So minimum space of the cross members, maximum space of the structure, I want to go maybe out to 30 millimeters, something like that. Try this. Enable support in the shell. So spacing from the model, so how much gap do these supports leave outside the model? That's good. Enhanced automatic support, we'll just hit that. Radius of absorption, not too worried. Let's go close. Over here, the angle, touch tip distance. So I might make that. I won't play with that for the moment. So remove all. No, if I remove all, that'll just remove the whole lot. I have to go back. No, I won't do that. I won't remove all. I'll just do my paint what I didn't want to do was remove all, would have taken all the ones out from the inside. So here we go. Next step is plus platform. Don't delete the other models. I'm hoping this will put little cross members everywhere. I got this setting right. It did. Okay, now that's a mad looking structure, but if I can zip down and have a look, if I look at it from above, top, see how it's got these sort of channels running through it? That helps to stop that from shrinking and pulling itself off the build plate. So what you don't want is this whole thing to be a giant mass grid that peels your model off the build plate as it shrinks. So there's another thing I can do to fix this. I'm going to go back and delete these again, aren't I? So if I go through here and delete, through paintbrush, I'm getting good at this, I just learnt it. Zoom around here, and I get paintbrush, delete, brush, delete, brush, come on, delete, come on, get out of here. Okay, here we go. It looks like I must have hit all before because it's put some inside as well. Not that I'm too worried, maybe I'll delete some later. Okay, now we are going into the advanced, and I'm going to change the diameter of the cross members. There is a thing here, cross structure diameter, 3 millimeters. I don't want that. I want maybe 1.5. Well, what this does is allow those cross members, those X's, to be a bit more flexible, and then it doesn't have as much of a shrinkage effect which could pull it off the build plate. So let's just try that now. So I'm half learning on the job here. So we are middle, top, and I just go platform. No, I don't want to delete. Bit of luck, those cross beams will be smaller. Ah, look at that. Yeah, they are smaller. Let's see how they're all sort of interconnecting, but not so interconnecting that they create a massive grid with shrinkage problems. See there, got little gaps in between. Yep, I like that. Okay, let's roll with that. Now, what I'm looking underneath, and what I'm going to look at here is this little black line as it grows. Now, what I'll switch over to middle supports now. Now, the auto supports works, but only to a certain point. It's not very intuitive of how the model builds. So this is a section here that'll be about that wide before it gets another connection. I might just slip one. I'll just slip one in there. I've got to go plus down on there. I'll put one in there. Okay. And it's all right. It's building all right. The amount of red that shows indicates the danger area of your supports. So the darkest sections here need more. And as I move along, it shows how those layers build. Now this is a layer that has to build this much before it finds another, so that needs help. I'm going to put it about there. So now it builds to there. Actually it builds to about here. I'll put another over there. So now it's got more stability, so at this point it's got 5. Look, that just popped into existence there, so that needs a spot. This one needs a spot. So I'm watching as it grows what suddenly appears. One there, one there, That's good. Now let's have a look over here under the bottom. That's quite a big area with no connection, so I'm going to add a few here. I don't put them in a line because they're not as strong in a line. When you stagger them and they build their own scaffolding, it gets more strength. Over here where these two join is an area that I like to concentrate some supports. So we've done that arm, we've done that. The back pops into existence just down there. So whack one in. This is a sort of a back muscle. I'll put one there. I'm going off the colour more than anything here to see where the danger zone is, and I'm just looking at that's sort of building out in a ridge, trying to build out on an angle. So helping that, it's doing it there too. So helping that, there's a ridge right there. Makes a better job. And right at the start on the bottom of the foot, I've already done this side. Put one or two there. Right where this pops into existence, it tries to build a sort of a small shard. Could use more strength, I think, just here. So even though it hasn't turned all pink on me, I just know that as things pop into existence, like that's a brand new island, and making a little grid of structure where that pops into existence, a stable sort of platform, oh, you'll have a much more successful print. Over here, it's a bit higgledy-piggledy, but it's covered. Alright, now let's have a look. A bit vast, but I could have tuned that back so that there were less supports in it, but this thing will definitely print. And many of those supports will come off quite easily and clean up alright. Yep. So much of his front is not supported at all. Now these toes, how do they look? They're printing okay. I'll just put one or two more there. Now these fingers are an issue. They often reach out shallow angles without. Now there is another feature inside here that I quite like, and that is this feature down the bottom here will add a small pillar, but you see that little magnet symbol on the bottom? That means that it'll snap to the nearest support. So if you have a look over here, and over here I set this in I think it's in the middle section. I think it's small pillars. I think we set the diameter of that here. I think it's this. I'll just try that. Yeah, so that's bigger. I want 0.6? Yeah, 0.6. So that'll just snap to, see, I can jump over here and it'll snap to the nearest one. So what I'm doing here is just adding stability as it builds. I can just slide this up to get rid of some of that structure, and so I can zoom in and see a bit better inside what's going on. I want to build out to that knuckle. Build up this finger, maybe a little bit tighter in here. And here, that finger is building okay. If I just put one here, it'll snap between the fingers. Oh no, it snapped all the way down to the support at the bottom there, did it? Yeah, doesn't matter, close enough. So zooming around, I've just given a bit more stability and those fingers. Yep. And over here on his chin, sitting in the side of his cheek. It just looks silly. It's not even a spot that needs it. I'm just going to look under his eyebrow, in the face. Okay, there's a little bit under the eye here. Will it snap to? I think I need to go back to a standard support. A little snapping there, maybe there. So these are quite small when they're just, that's reading off this small pillar section over here when it does that. Let's zoom down, have a look at the other fist. Yeah, looking good. Now what I'm going to do is just go through the internal core of the item. And come on, we need a magic button that you press that automatically sizes to the page. If Chitubox are listening, please do that. Right, so I want to start right up at the head first. Do I have supports in that part? So I might be going plus on medium, be adding medium supports. So it grows in there, in there. Now the top of the head is an area that's almost flat. It does need extra supports, so pretty common to add in this spot. And if I want to put more around there, I might go back to my auto snapping of small ones. Oh, that's beautiful. So what I'm now doing is just sort of adding a bit more stability in there as it fills out for the face. I'll move down. Shoulder. I might go back to adding actual supports if it'll let me. Yeah. In here, in here. That's a very lonely looking set of supports over there. I'm not doing them in a line, I do them sort of a random pattern. Over here, these are almost little roofs that it's putting in there, so if I can get some supports in that, and this one here as well, and it's just indicated to me by the strength of that red colour. Some other softwares don't have these kinds of features where it shows you the riskiest area. That's what's that? Oh, it's the inside of the hand. Inside of the hand over here. Ah, see the arm? Lots of red in there. Oh, was there red in the other arm? Let's just double check. I've already got that. Fair bit of red, I'll chuck a couple of extra. These guys don't come out, so whatever you're putting there is just more resin, more weight. But because they're just little sticks, you won't block resin or trap resin inside the model. It'll all still come out. Oh, look at that. That section of the arm there. Oh, sorry, that's his leg. That red. Right along there. Good. And the under the arm, that's the outside of the body. Not as concerned. So these sections that are all blue like that, that's where you're going down. The leg's almost vertical. Top of the foot. Down there. Up there. Top of the foot needs a bit. And it'll put whatever it can in there. Some of them you try to snap and it won't. of the foot. Looks pretty good. So probably need the same thing in this other foot. There it is, top of the foot. Now these are areas that can fail, because anywhere where it's trying to build almost horizontal can fail your print. And I think that is about it. We've done inside, we've done outside, we've done venting, we've done thinning. Now what we need to do is bring in my build plate and my raft, and for that I go to start, open, and here it is snapping to the closest thing. There are damaged, yeah. Hang on, sorry, first select the model. What? Where did everything go? Oh no. Step back to start. So select the model, and over here I need to go repair, and I'll do the basic repair, and then when I go back to prepare, it asks me, do you want to keep the original? No, I just want to keep the repaired one, thank you. Now I've got a repaired model here, but it's way off on the other side of the plate, does that automatic. So if I go here to move, and I go centered, snaps it onto the build plate exactly as I modeled it and lining up with everything. Now what I've got here is supports that are sitting through. If you have a look down here, I don't want them like that. I want the main body and its supports to be lifted up. So I come over here to the Z, sitting at 5. So if I take that 1.5 millimeters, which is the thickness of the plate, when I look underneath, you can see that it's got clearance for all of the holes in the build plate, and those supports are sitting 1.5 millimeters higher, meaning that they don't get resin there, and the resin doesn't get filled into the hole. So what we got now is my finished item. So I would now save the save the project, then move over into select my resin and do my slice. And when I slice, I save that model onto the hard drive, then put it onto the USB stick, then put it in the printer. Good luck.